You're strong.
I know.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared. I'm here with Britt. What's up, Britt?
Hello, hello.
So, okay. So we're talking about merch, SuperWonder merch, but here's the funny part before I get started. When Britt told me that there was a lot, I didn't necessarily believe her up until I looked at how much stuff I had to put in the PowerPoint, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I definitely underestimated it too.
Here's the humorous part before we get started, and a lot of like with Marvel doing their whole all new, all different initiative with like replacing Thor and all that stuff. People ask why these characters still hang around if their books bombed, and I'm like, because they sell merchandise. That's really one of the other really key things that will determine the longevity of a character.
Yeah, I mean, anyone, you know, they might not be fans of the character, but they are fans of like the symbol, the Superman symbol. Anybody will wear the shirt. And Wonder Woman too. Batman, now he's in a league all on his own or whatever. They love the character and his symbol. But yeah, that is the idea that just comics aren't the end all be all. So, with the merchandise, that pretty much expands and with doing the research to see the different merchandise and like the advertisement globally for Superman and Wonder Woman as a couple is like, yeah, no wonder this couple, even if they aren't together in comics, they do have such a broad showing to the general audience with merchandise.
I should probably say that I got that in the mail.
Yes, oh, it's so pretty.
As soon as Britt sent me this, I needed a new case because my other one got dinged up. But I was like, okay, I'm getting that, and I'm going to get the Xbox skin for that because I'm like, you know what? Yes, please, because you're right. It looks so pretty, and it's that Tony Daniel cover that I love so much.
And the thing is, we're starting this topic, in December. It's Christmas time. So, this is giving you ideas.
Oh, hell yeah.
Of spending your money.
Merch, and there's going to be a lot of PowerPoint slides. So we may actually break 3 hours. So let's see. Let's see if we can do it. So first we got something that looks like what would be on my bed if I were younger.
Yes, so the Superman and Wonder Woman merchandise, it started in the 70s. And so this is from JCPenney's. It's been around for a very long time. In 1977. And when I first saw this, I'm like, wow, they actually have a full bed set. I mean, decorations, it looks like you have like the window curtains and everything. The pillow set and everything, that is amazing.
It looks so good. Yeah, I would 100% have this. And then we have the toy ads that would be in like comic books, which I'm like, yeah, I would have probably bought all of these. But yeah. I just love Zod's old design. It's just a basic like black vest over like a red turtleneck. I'm like, that's interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they were creative with making the characters like their character traits, but some of the designs were very bland a little bit.
And the
So
funny part is that they don't have pictures of the actual toys. It's just drawings of the characters. So you don't even know if the toys are any good.
exactly.
I'm
But
like, wait a second. Costumes are removable and washable. When it comes with Wonder Woman, that's kind of like they did that.
exactly. And it's so many implications with that because, first of all, you're saying match Superman with Wonder Woman, and then
Yeah,
you're
I
saying
know. I'm like, wait a second here. And then you said costumes are removed and washable. So I'm like, um,
yeah, so we're getting some implications here. So, for any antis, detractors or whatever, this couple has been matched or whatever since the very beginning. And then since the very beginning of the merchandise of the shared universe. Period.
some
They
might say they have a special bond.
That's a good one. Oh,
Thank you.
so yeah, this was very interesting to see that they are advertised together. They are matched together. A lot of, like I said, anti say that, oh, they match they try to spin it as a negative way, um, as it being obvious, is a bad thing. I was like, no, this is what people want. They want to match,
Hell, we saw, if you remember, and like I think 2 weeks ago or like 3 weeks ago, we did an episode, and the letters to put Superman with Wonder Woman were like back to the 70s.
Yeah, okay. The shared universe, I believe, well, yeah, it started in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And when before then, before the shared universe, um, you can only kind of use the character costumes, but you couldn't use the character themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in Sensation Comics, I believe, 32.
Mm-hmm.
But it was from a 1944 issue of Wonder Woman of Sensation Comics. And she was dancing with a guy that had on a Superman costume, and the caption said Superman and Wonder Woman dancing, or Wonder Woman dances with Superman. How appropriate! So it's like, yeah, it's been there. This the matching thing, the idea of putting them together, that has been there. So now we go 30 years later with the shared universe. You have merchandise now. Now that uh, this company owns these characters and can put them in the same universe, yeah, this is what they've been waiting on.
Sweet. Then we've got some greeting cards, which I love the one over here that says, I thought about you today and yesterday and the day before that and the day before that and the day before that. It's like all the day before that,
Yes,
like going straight down. That was great. That's
I
something I would do.
love that one. I love that one. And with the greeting cards, this is where the I am her Superman, she is my Wonder Woman,
There you
or
go.
yeah, that is where that whole thing came from. So, like I said, it's been there. And that's the pattern that we will see throughout um all the merch within this PowerPoint.
Sweet. Then we've got another greeting card, and I love this one, the year special in front of the heart. It's kind of interesting how both of them also share the main color of Valentine's Day. Just bring it. I
Right.
just noticed that.
Yeah.
We got mugs. I need some of these. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of this merch is stuff that I need.
Yes. And here with the mugs, it's a his and her thing. It's matching, and very much so that Superman and Wonder Woman, it is very much set on couples. Like, this is the for this couple, the audience is, couples, whether you're married or just boyfriend and girlfriend. This is what Superman and Wonder Woman represents. And funny how, they don't have much of their traditional pairings. You know, if they are so iconic, if they are so, this and that, why aren't they being, you know, promoted together like this? It has been some things with Lois, but it was more so like a save me type thing or my hero. It never was like a equals thing. She was mostly um advertised as like the damsel in distress type thing.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Then we've got a dope T-shirt, and I love
So
I love where I like to imagine he's in the phone booth calling someone. All of a sudden, he sees Wonder Woman, he just runs out, but breaks open the shirt. I'm Superman. Want to know my secret
okay.
identity?
Oh my God. Or, you know, this it really does tell a whole different story.
Hmm.
Multiple stories. You have her waiting and he's like,
Her foot's even tapping, so like maybe they're waiting. She's waiting for him on a date, and he's like, "Sorry, I had to deal with a giant ape."
yeah, and then you have the telephone booth, which is so, giving the old school vibe that in order for him to, get out of the suit and tie, he has to go into the telephone booth, and she's waiting for him there. So she knows that this is where he is.
Yeah, I love that. Again, she knows him very well.
Yes.
Then we've got the cosplay items. I counted the Snuggies as cosplay items because they're and these Snuggies are actually kind of interesting.
Okay, so we've talked about these before. So the matching Snuggies, they were for Halloween, where they zip up or button up together. So you can basically be literally attached to the hip, and or you can wear them separately. And these they are for Halloween. I
Hmm.
don't I mean, unless you're like the parents, you didn't want to really dress up as in actual costume and you have kids going trick-or-treating or whatever like that. But this is really cute and very comfortable for couples having movie night or something like that. And the description of it is saying it says every Superman needs a Wonder Woman by his side. Now you can now you can be next to each other without having to leave. That is, you know, I believe that these were um,
Oh, they're
released.
attachable. I just noticed that. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
they. I believe it was 2018. I want to
Hmm.
say that this came out. So yeah, it's like the descriptions of these items are very much Superman and Wonder Woman match. They need to be together. They look
Yeah.
adorable together. Um, Even with the Halloween costumes, you have Joker, Joker and Harley, and Batman and Catwoman. These are your three main couples that um that are marketed together. Even with Joker and Harley not really being together anymore, you have Harley and Ivy, but as as far as the general audience, they still kind of know more Joker and Harley. So I guess that's why they're still being promoted together. But yeah, for Halloween, this is where you see a massive amount of Superman and Wonder Woman couples, be it boyfriend and girlfriend or an entire family. And what I love is
They're
especially
actually
on
not that bad costumes either.
no, um, they're really good. I mean, well, except for the wig, like
The
it's
wig
kind
I
of
get, But the thing about the Clark Kent one is that that's actually a really you could recreate that for free just by putting on a suit. It's kind of funny. I was watching Jerry Seinfeld actually before we started recording all this, and he was doing the joke about how like he would dress as Superman for Halloween, and his mom would make him wear a winter coat over it. And I said, here's what you do: you do the Clark Kent thing and open the winter coat a little bit so it looks like you're doing the shirt rip.
Right. And I mean, this is a very cheap, you know, way to go. I've seen a lot of it on Instagram where the guy, he would just have on like a regular Superman shirt and his, black pants and white button down shirt, and that's it. And I mean, that is very much a go-to type costume. Wonder Woman is a little bit more extravagant, of course, because you have to have the starry um, skirt or something like that. You have to have the tiara. But it's just the fact that you have so many Clark Kent and Wonder Woman, um, or a full Superman costume, which is mostly now still DC EU costume.
Because that's the best Superman. That's why.
Yeah, and I see less of the one with the underwear because now
Because
that
people are starting to realize that's freaking dumb. That's why.
in 2023, going into 2024, yeah, the costume is a little. It needs to
Speaking of
retire.
DCEU, by the way, I will have some merch that I want to show up. That's not necessarily marketed as SuperWonder, but I turned it into SuperWonder.
Of course.
That's just what I do. Then we have some salt and pepper shakers, which, okay, this is kind of cool. I didn't see this one coming. A lot of these I didn't see coming, but you get my point.
Right. So here we have your duos. This is the 80s where, of course, you have Batman and Robin. That's, that is the dynamic duo. But then Superman and Wonder Woman are a duo themselves. This is when power couple wasn't, of course, not even a thing, in reality. So these are your two pairings or whatever. And yeah, the salt and pepper thing still goes with the theme of matching, still goes with they belong together. You can see on another picture that with them being combined together, it looks like the lasso is around them.
It does kind of because of the yellow belt.
Yeah. So that is something that was really, really cool.
And then we have the Pops. I love my Superman and Wonder Woman Funko Pops, which I have right next to each other.
Yeah, so again, you have the salt and pepper shakers as Funkos. And yeah, I think it's about, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different salt and pepper shaker designs. So yeah, someone loved their salt and pepper shakers.
Yes, of course. And then we get, of course, the Jim Lee diamond art. Oh my gosh, this looks so good.
So on the website of this art, I saw the reviews and the comments, and this was first they were praising the artwork itself, loving the piece, and it was someone uploaded their when finally finishing it, it was so pretty, and how they enjoyed, seeing this piece, and also that it was for a present, a gift for their husband, or that it was for an engagement or something like that. So again, Superman and Wonder Woman continues to be.
That's the thing I noticed, Britt, doing this show with you. Whenever you see like couples doing, she's my this, he's my this, it's barely, if ever, she's my Lois Lane. No, she's my Wonder Woman.
No one would say that. I mean, why would you say that? I really.
She's my Lois Lane. Filed for divorce.
I mean, it's all about the marketing and
Hmm.
how you can attract people. You, I mean, it's a rarity now that people really care for the whole, like I said, the merchandise that she barely has is basically like saying my hero or save me or something like that, or she's, the damsel in distress type thing. But with Wonder Woman, you have the equality that couples want, that to be, represented by. And that is exactly what this was. It's you see two powerful people, and that's also what power couple means, is individuals coming together, bringing, their uniqueness together. It's not necessarily meaning power as in physical power.
Which
And
it gets confused with that. I wouldn't be surprised if you know how they have that Jim Lee like Lego poster thing.
the poster.
Yeah, because they did this thing. I think it's Lego. Did this thing where it's a Lego model, but it's like a Jim Lee art print that you can rearrange into like
Oh,
different pictures.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do it with this.
Yeah, I mean, this is already something, you know, with just being like 2D or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you had a whole like 3D Lego building type thing of doing this, I mean, do you know how many people will have that at their wedding or something?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
Next one. I love this shirt because at first I thought it looked like a wanted poster, but then it also kind of looks well. Also, it kind of works if
it
it's a
does.
wanted poster, but it also works as a headline.
Actually, there is another shirt. It was
Mhm.
a kind of that said wanted. So yeah, it
Well,
was
there you go. But yeah, I
yeah.
just love this. I'm probably gonna try and find this shirt. I can track it down, Britt. I have my sources. I have my
This
sources.
was this was in the Philippines.
Ah,
And I love this shirt because of course it's the like front page newspaper type thing. And this is what Superman and Wonder Woman should have been. Well, they were in the New 52, but this is how you market this couple. You market them as like this, yeah, as the celebrity couple, as this couple that's like the comic book version. I'm a fan of her, Jay-Z and Beyonce.
mhm.
Do something like that.
No, you're
You
a Beyonce fan. I would have never known that.
yeah, go to my Twitter and you see it all everywhere. But that is how you have the tension within the pair, because you have Superman and Wonder Woman as the celebrity couple, but then you have Clark and Diana trying to have their privacy, and especially Clark even more so. Or you play with that if DC is, so hell bent on them not being together. You have it where it's kind of like a, are they, aren't they? The tabloids kind of trying to figure it out. And that would be such a cool storyline, and you market that way with merchandise. And that's exactly what
300%.
this shirt represents.
And then we get the item that has eluded me for so many years. The freaking poster! I mean, statue!
Yeah, that you have to, I mean, you have to donate your spleen, your
Yeah, I have to
kidney.
practically say I will be in servitude to DC for 20 years in order to afford this because I want I want that statue.
I've already made it known. They should have had a line wide um Superman and Wonder Woman collection,
Mhm.
because even of the covers that we covered last week,
Yeah, they could have done
those
that.
images, yes, those images are like statue, like perfection.
And,
The
and Go
Adam
ahead.
Hughes,
Hmm.
especially that, is so like intimate, and the
Rockefeller.
fact, yes, especially his. And
Hmm.
um with Adam Hughes, especially with their hands intertwined and it's with the lasso, you know, just take away the yellow. Even with having the yellow roses, it's like best friends in love, and they don't really know what to do with that. But it's like it's telling a love story.
Mhm.
And these statues, I mean, they have Batman and Catwoman. I think that is really the only couple that you can really that can rival Superman and Wonder Woman as far as like merchandise. But even they don't have that much, you know.
Exactly.
Um,
Uh, But yeah, I've always wondered about that because they keep pushing back. It's kind of funny. The other thing I want to bring up is that you notice there's not a lot of Superman and Lois merch.
it's because you can't market Lois. I mean, she doesn't have a. I think the only thing that they tried to do was do the LL or have her name, but I mean, who would want to wear that? You know?
Exactly. Then we have some COVID masks, which these look pretty. Of course, is the Tony Daniel art. This image is everywhere.
Because we'll get to that, but that image is branded as um the lovebirds.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so it's a whole entire brand, and of course these came out in uh 2020, 2021, and along with the um other mask of them fighting. I don't know. I guess they just maybe picked a random image of them or whatever. But yeah, the masks are really cool. You know, I
I
I wish.
swear, I swear, I would love to see a live stream of Tony Daniel every time he gets paid for all this stuff. He's like, "Oh, thank you, cha-ching."
I mean, honestly, I don't know if he's aware it, and if he does, get paid for that. If he doesn't, that is like really cool. But it's totally on, DCWB would do that because they don't even pay or give credit even with the movies. So I guarantee the merchandise is that's a whole another thing too. But yeah, the amount of um different items that his image is on, he should be like set for life basically.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. He's probably he goes to Troll Sewell. Hey, dude, check it out.
I mean, he did want a Superman and Wonder Woman movie.
Oh
So
yes,
I
yes. If it's based on
and
Volume One, yes.
so I guarantee that it might have been something like that, that if DC was, smart enough to have continued it, and along with the merchandise and a movie and everything else, yeah, I think that Tony probably would have, you know, got the credit he is owed. But that's too much like right, so
Yeah,
that's whatever.
that would make sense. And we all know DC doesn't do things that make sense. I love these tank tops, by the way, for Jim Lee.
So that tote bag, I this is from Hot Topic. And when I tell you that there are 3 or 4 Hot Topics around my area.
Let me guess. Did you drive through all three of those to try and find it?
And they were all out. And I'm like,
There's
oh
the
my,
internet, Britt. You can order it online.
this no, this is before um honestly, like Amazon was kind of like the go-to thing
But I'm
where
sure you could probably find it on Amazon.
yeah, now you can find it on Amazon. But and then they had kind of like a selective type within that time, because it was such a rush. It was like they were basically playing with the customers. And it's kind of like first come, first serve. We only have a limit of this certain item. So you have to rush and go get it. And or you couldn't even kind of like um have something on reserve. like calling it in. You couldn't even do that.
Mhm.
So I missed out on getting my tote bag, but
One day, Britt. One
yeah,
day.
just
One day.
like one day
And oh
we'll be able
my
to get that statue.
gosh. Wow. Jim Lee's art. Jim Lee's art goes on everything.
Yes. So this shirt is so unique, and I mean to have both power couples on here with
Wait,
Jim
I
Lee's
thought
art.
those were two separate shirts. I didn't realize that's the back.
Yes, that is front and back.
Wow, that is
Yes.
cool.
Yes, and you have and the fact that they're in space, and then but it seems like Clark and Diana has the sun with them, and then Bruce and Selena has the moon. So
Yeah,
it
it's
is
good.
the day and night couple.
That's
That
great.
you know they match so much better as your day and night couple
Yeah.
than trying to do um Batcat and Superman and Lois. Especially what really showed it was Tom King's The Double Date, when Lois only had like this regular, really kind of tacky dress, and they say like switch costumes. That's not a costume.
That's not a costume.
It's just a dress.
Yeah, exactly. And but I love where Bruce and Clark switch costumes, and then all of a sudden Batman's like, "This is going to be really fun," and Superman's like,
Yeah,
"That was that was good." I'll give Tom King some credit on that.
he always get a little bit of credit, just a little
It's like
like
Tomasi
speck of credit.
and those scenes when like I will be like the I am his sentinel scene.
Yeah, you get like a speck
You get a
of
spec. You
acknowledgement.
get a spec. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. But next up, we there's the Rockefeller shirt.
Yes, and this one is available um at Hot Topic, I believe.
Hot
And
Topic has the best stuff.
yes, Hot Topic was really when New 52 started, and when DC was promoting Superman and Wonder Woman as the power couple and everything like that. Hot Topic pretty much was where you found the trends. Like if it's at Hot Topic, it's hot, you know. So um obviously the name, of course. And yeah, so Rockefeller, honestly, this image needs to be on other stuff, not just, this one shirt. I love the shirt, but it needs to be more. I'm just greedy like that. I want this on a bag. I want this on a
iPhone case. Hint, hint.
yes, yes, anything like that. A hoodie, is winter season. I would love to have this on a hoodie.
Yeah.
Um,
I also love this when we make a great team. It's just astounds me that DC doesn't want these two to be together, but they literally market them as together.
yes, they do. That's the double standard and hypocrisy of it all. Is that and that's the thing of what makes it so confusing is that in story with their comics, it's like it's like we have these crumbs of them maybe having something, but because of the status quo of Clark, being married, or Diana, whatever, with Steve, they are so stuck in the traditional ways. But like I said, outside of that, to the general audience, they are free to market them. And especially because, remember, this is licensing their characters out to other companies. So these companies do not care about whatever you're doing in your comic books. If they know that this pair
Sells.
sells
Yeah, exactly.
and can bring attention, they will promote them. And that's exactly what Superman and Wonder Woman does. It is they are the couple that can get attention. And it's been that way since they started marketing in the 70s. So,
And,
yeah,
mhm.
so you have this We Make a Great Team, which is also a reference from the Ruby Spears cartoon, when
Tomasi even homaged this in his run.
he made it, but again, he made it seem like they can only be a platonic team, not the, romantic team that they want. I mean, even on this shirt, it's like they are a team, but they are surrounded by hearts. So with the Ruby Spears cartoon, it was Hippolyta thanking Clark for saving them. I think it wasn't Cersei, but it was another sorceress. And um, Clark says, "Your daughter and I make a great team." And then Diana, kisses him on the cheek. So, yeah, so that is that reference to that cartoon. And they do make a great team.
Lords and Ladies of the Rings. I love these rings. I like how Clark has the black one and Wonder Woman has like the goldish one.
Yeah, so with this, if it wasn't um, wedding tattoos, which is so, I mean, Superman and Wonder Woman, the couple, they are so ingrained with the idea of marriage too. And so you have couples that they tattoo their wedding ring or whatever as the Wonder Woman and Superman symbols. And when these rings came out, I'm telling you, there was a bunch of posts of couples that are whether they are renewing their vows, they just got married, or just replacing like their wedding rings with this ring. And
And that's what I call raising your children right.
yeah, and other companies that weren't official, they would take this idea and make custom Superman and Wonder Woman matching rings too. And again, here you go, you have matching rings.
Sweet. I just love that. Then we got the phone cases. Ha ha!
Yes. So
That's a
this is
cool
a
one.
his and her. Um,
There's so many his and hers just for Superman and Wonder Woman. Wow.
yes. And the thing is, because they match so well and they have like this it's the positiveness of this couple that it's so easy to market them. Like with Batcat, you have to market like the seductive, mysterious, you know, that just black and silver maybe type couple.
You could, yeah, but see the reason why this works, and the reason why it's easier to market this as opposed to Batcat, because when you say she's my Wonder Woman, you're my Superman, because we've said on the show long ago that he represents the perfect man, she represents the perfect woman. So if you give your significant other an item for Superman or Wonder Woman, you're basically telling them, I think you are the perfect blank.
Exactly. And that you see this person, you know, as such a strong type positiveness too, because that's what these characters represents, positiveness. And and again, it's all about equality. So yeah, so with these cases, and again, it's a collaboration of an official company, Skin It. And Skin It, I've actually bought a couple of skins, well, butterflies from Skin It. So that is a very good company. And to
Mm-hmm.
know that a, a lot of DC's collaborations, or that who wants to collaborate with DC and choose Superman and Wonder Woman are very popular companies. And it's kind of like, is there not a light bulb going off in anyone's head within DC to see that, okay, if this certain company wants this pairing, then maybe we should do more, you know, within any other, whether it is comics, just give us an Elseworld book. We don't care about, I mean, continuity is already a mess. So just give us an Elseworld. And
Exactly.
then with animation, you screwed that up, terribly.
Severely. Like, we just completed our coverage of the DC AMU, and the thing about it, I asked someone what's like their biggest issue with Dekamu, and I said it's not even SuperWonder. It's the fact that they did too much stuff off screen, and that's the extremely lazy way to do things.
And it's even worse with the Tomorrowverse. It's
Hmm.
it's it's much worse of doing things off screen.
Like with the
So
Lois thing in Crisis.
yeah, I mean, like I said, she wasn't even in the movie that she was in. There was no hints of romance or whatever. So now you just like after what, uh, three, 3 or 4 movies, it's all of a sudden this development of a relationship. It's just this is why so many people have a hard time investing in these characters because you don't it especially with the traditional status quo, it's kind of like it's just there and you are supposed to just accept it. And
Exactly. That's
and
the problem with status quo, because to a degree, you want these characters to act consistently. I get it, but when you want to change stuff up, like DC has said multiple times, Q 2 weeks ago, it's the problem with status quo per se is the fans of the status quo, because then they go, "You're not a real fan if you don't like this or this or this."
right. And also to say that Superman and Wonder Woman is like predictable or obvious, that's what the status quo, your traditional status quo is. It's obvious when you know that this is gonna happen. You know, there's nothing different.
So, if anything, in that way, Lois and Clark is predictable.
Exactly. But, double standards and all,
It's
whatever.
it's like what I said. One of my reasons when I first did the anti Lois video that blew up and got me a lot of internet hate, but when I did the video, I said one of my chief problems is there. You want to talk about zero stakes? Whenever Lois is in danger, Clark is going to save her. So I'm like, legit. I was reading World Saga. Lois is in danger, and I'm like, so he's going to save her. Why do I care?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, there's no tension whatsoever. Mm, But the tension with Superman and Wonder Woman is that the world is
Yeah.
on their shoulders.
Well,
And
not
it's
only
like,
that, they're facing significantly more powerful villains than, because now Wonder Woman has to fight Doomsday.
yeah, I mean, she can dog walk Zod and Fjord, like,
But Doomsday,
yeah, Doomsday, Mungal,
yeah,
um,
yeah. But my point is, then she not only has to deal with her rogues gallery, which when you factor in the gods, it's pretty stacked. Then you
and the
factor
fact
in
that
her boyfriends.
And the fact that, I mean, her rogue and his rogues can combine, team up or whatever,
Yeah.
and that is going to be some heavy hitters for sure.
Oh, because you got, like, let's say Zod Feora and Hera and Giganta or something like that. But the point is, combined, that's a pretty stacked lineup. And I'm like, yeah, that leads to, because when you think about it, Superman and Wonder Woman, they have to deal with not only the public's perception of them as a couple, but like maybe they might think that like Superman puts more concern into Diana's safety than the public safety, like when he goes to save her despite saving people, even though he wouldn't do that. He would do that for Lois, though.
Exactly. I mean, he had thousands drawn for her.
Exactly. It's kind of funny. So a buddy of mine was covering Throne of Atlantis, and there's that scene where Superman has to save Lois from drowning, and then it's like someone he put a clip of me going, "I love this, yes." It was so good. Then we got some Valentine's Day apparel, which it's the Rebirth Designs, but I
Yes.
mean, I guess I'll take it. Hang on, I gotta zoom in here. Yeah, it's like at least it's, but again, Rebirth was very anti SuperWonder, so I'm like, oh wow.
And the fact that you use the Rebirth versions and
Yeah,
have like a heart and Valentine's Day
that's
is just so,
hilarious.
I mean, it's very much, it shows the disconnect too. That even throughout Rebirth with DC, their whole anti Superman and Wonder Woman even being friends. And the fact that these other companies was still promoting them, still marketing them as a couple with merchandise, like I said, it shows so much of a disconnect. And that, again, comics is a niche. Um, it's not the end all be all. And what's more important really is the merchandise and the advertising and the licensing, because you reach a much wider audience with just a simple t-shirt. And I remember when on CBR, when um we would share the merchandise, because that was the go-to thing on a comic forum. You share that kind of stuff for people to buy it. And yes, Superman and Wonder Woman fans actually support and buy things. So it was an anti that came in and was basically like, well, just because they're on a shirt, printed shirt, that it doesn't matter. And he was
Realizes
basically
that
saying,
here's the fun part: the companies care more about the merch than they do about the comics.
exactly. And he was basically really talking bad and downing, you know, about the merchandise period, whether it's shirts or a cell phone case or something. And he gloated when Rebirth happened. And the thing is, it's kind of like, well, you know, Rebirth still sold less than New 52. And
Yes, it's like Britt. It didn't only sell less; it sold significantly less. Let's not downplay how catastrophic that was.
right. And it also messed up the trade sales because
Mm-hmm.
of starting over so fast and just confusing, so much. Your continuity is just totally just uh, I mean, it's a cluster, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have um just the divide of the fans too. It was an even bigger divide. So, while you gloat about these things, of again, you're just putting so much emphasis on comics, but again, so many people are wearing Superman and Wonder Woman shirts regardless. You have weddings with people still searching for the rings. You have Halloween, when some people um they would try to wear a Lois costume, but it's not really a costume.
Yeah, it's just regular clothes, though.
It's regular
What
clothes.
identifies that as Lois?
The thing is that they have the press badge, the press badge, and they will have it. It's basically like a gender bent Clark, really, because I've seen where they wear like a black skirt, a white button down, and the glasses, and then have a press badge that says Lois, and it's kind of like Lois doesn't wear that. Like she
But
doesn't wear
part
glasses, so
the funny part is that the it being of it being able to be identified as Lois is dependent upon someone showing up as Clark Kent or Superman.
yeah. But even still, you really, I mean, again, unless you have the press badge on and it says Lois, it just looks like a gender bent Clark.
Yeah, and,
No.
and that's the thing. It's not people say it's iconic, but I'm like it's because we know when we read a comic that it's Lois. But anyway, so then we have the PJ set, which again I just love this the nice heart the kiss. I love Superman's smile. He's like, oh yeah.
This one is it seemed like it's still available in Australia. And yeah, the kiss on the cheek, first of all, I don't know where this um kiss is from. I don't know if it is from a comic. I have yet to find the where this is from, and I really want to find it. But yeah, this was really cute. I think this was 2019, 2018 or 2019 when this came out. So being in Australia, I mean, they have a lot of unique things all over the world, and it's like, do you do international shipping? Because it's like, you know, I want this.
Yep. I could see all of a sudden I'll be like editing a video. All of a sudden I get a DM from Britt saying, "Look what I got," and I'll be like, "Oh, you."
Yes, I'll be broke though. I definitely, yeah.
There you go. I also love so that then we got his and her fragrances, which there's a little cartoon that shows up afterwards, but I love this. This looks really cool. I also like how the bottles are shaped like pretty much shaped like Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yes. So this
The
is
Superman even has the bulge. How did I not look at this? I didn't even notice this before.
I think the only thing is that he doesn't have the red underwear. That's, you
But they
know,
kept the bulge. That's the thing.
I mean, they wanted to really emphasize the his and her
Well,
different
yeah, she
self.
does. They do have the boobs part, but I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
It's so good.
so Jean Paul, he personally commissioned this, and this came out in 2017.
Mhm.
When I first saw the sneak peek, it was the artist of the comic, little Matt Haley.
Mhm.
And at first I thought it was a commission. Well, it is, but I mean like just a fan commission. And I was like, oh, I want to see the full image. And then when they started advertising this, the full image showed with the motion comic. And I'm like, oh wait, like, oh, this is something big. And you see like this is in France, and they have like this whole big promotion, this promotional party, this you know, these celebrities coming out, the reviews of this fragrance. I'm like, wow, this is a big thing. So um
What I would do if I were reviewing this, that even if it's a so-so scent, I'd be like, it's Superman and Wonder Woman, 10 out of 10.
right.
That's all you
So
need with me.
again, when we post this, in comic forums or whatever, of course the antis have so much to say.
As they always do.
Right. So it was when the first chapter is 5 chapters of the mini comic and motion comic. And when it first came out, Bleeding Cool posted it. And they linked Jean Paul's Twitter.
Oh no. I know where this is going. Oh no. As soon as you said he linked his Twitter, I know where this is going.
So you had some comments, and they were talking about Superman is married. He um that should be Lois or whatever like that. That this couple was from New 52, and how that was
That
a
failed,
failure.
air
Blah
quotes.
blah blah.
What I would have done is I would have responded, I'm sorry, Lois is not iconic enough and distinct enough to get her own scent.
Exactly. And I mean, who
Who
would
does that?
who would want to, the way that this is promoted or advertised, I just really can't see who would want to have Lois. She's not a recognizable character
No, she's
as
not. Like we just said, there's nothing really distinct unless she has the name. She's the name badge character.
exactly. If you just draw her, whatever, just as a character, you will not know at all that, okay, that's supposed to be Lois. You wouldn't know that.
And look at this dialogue. I promise Diana we'll have a real date night when this is over.
That
Oh,
pissed
jeez.
them off. I mean, when they at first, it seemed like, well,
They were
like
just
I said,
friends at the thing.
well, actually, no, it was very much the promotion was you see um them holding hands or whatever, so you can definitely tell that they were together. But it's the fact that you see more in detail of the dialogue that
And
pissed
you
off a lot of
DM'd
Clois
me out of
fans.
context. I love Clark's face on this scene.
Clark looks very like he is thinking his mind is definitely in the gutter.
What you don't know is that at this moment he's using his X-ray vision. And I think you think we should have worn our work clothes. Yeah. And then he goes, and miss you in this gown. So I'm like, yeah. He's like, nope, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, to say and miss you in this gown, and he was like, like poof. I mean, the innuendo in this, with how so subtle the romance is with this, it's so easy to basically satisfy, or us as fans of this couple, because it's something so natural about them, and it's fun, and it doesn't have to be in your face romance. This isn't so much as an in your face type thing. It's just something natural. It's something, giving them a little romance, of course, because they're in France. They're in Paris.
The most
And
romantic city in the world.
right. So you have to have a little bit of something of that in there. But still, again, this is something that it was commissioned by a fashion designer.
I would have loved if when they go, this pair was in the new 52, he goes, what's the new 52?
Yeah, honestly,
You really think he's gonna know this and care?
yeah, he didn't care. And the fact that the Clois fans kind of went to his Twitter, I'm like, do you not know that it's not really him? That it's like PR or whatever.
Yeah, it's
So
a handler, and I'm like, you really think the handler's gonna show him all this stuff? No.
no, I mean, and he's a world renowned, like I said, fashion designer. He has the fragrance every year, summer. He does pick different pairings.
Yeah.
So I think he had pot pie and olive oil one time. And then he had another kind of obscure pair. Like they were kind of stick figures, but they were some type of characters. And he had I think he had Minnie and Mickey before. So yeah, again, even if he isn't a comic fan, somehow he knows though that Superman and Wonder Woman are a natural fit to be a pair and to be romantically
Well,
linked.
because he has that artistic, and he's from Paris, the most romantic city in the world. So then we get, okay, this is why this thing of merch is important. I have this,
Yes.
and I am going to show it off. So this, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna unshare the screen so this could be a little better. So what this is, and they had one for a Batman, and I picked this up. I got this literally the week before I started a comics league. I was getting into this stuff, so I was like, okay, because I wanted some statues. I didn't have that much statues for superheroes until I looked through my toy closets, and then I was like, okay, I'll order this stuff. And I was always a Superman and Wonder Woman fan. So first off, they come with these cool figurines. So here's the Superman. Even if it's the Rebirth design, I would have liked if it was the new 52 to match the cover, but okay. And then here's the Wonder Woman also Rebirth, but I like how they gave her the sword and the shield. So
Yeah.
suck it who says she's a pacifist. And then it came with this neat little book. Well, first off, Jason Fabok art on the cover. Love that. And what it does is it's basically a guidebook to both characters. It talks about like who they are. It talks about their most famous stories. It even has a breakdown of the Fortress of Solitude, and it even has a section on their top like comic book covers. And of course, one of them is Justice League number 12. There you go.
Right.
And then it goes into the new 52, because I believe that, I mean, this does go into Rebirth, but only briefly, which, again, so nice. And then it even includes a little timeline. And then it goes to Wonder Woman. And then at the very end, they talk about how, yeah, they did have, so they call them partners in justice. And then it talks about how, oh, yeah, they've been a couple before.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's so much of a disconnect, because within the encyclopedias or collectible books like this, the way they frame the pairing is kind of like they have just this like an ongoing on and off, like they're a couple but not a couple, and or they say like they're friends that eventually, or it's inevitable that they end up in a romantic relationship or something like that. But then you have within the story, or the comics, where you have the writers purposely having them so distant and kind of cold to each other, or seem like they're just strangers, acquaintances, or something like that. But here you have right here where you're calling them partners in justice. It's such like confusion there. And it's like, okay, so if you have, and this book came out, I think 2019, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So this is like, well, actually Rebirth kind of ended when,
Yeah, which is weird that they're using the Rebirth design, because I think even at this point in the continuity, Superman was using the Superman Reborn suit, which like had the gold, the belt with the golden buckle. He wasn't using that.
so honestly, I don't even know how you can even like frame when this book kind of within the development of it, because
But
yeah, it's
the
using
funny
New 52. Uh-huh.
the funny part is that when you could go to the Rebirth part, it's like a paragraph.
Yeah, so that must have been like the first year then. So and they just threw it in there, because it very much is a disconnect when you have the New 52 um cover, but then you have the Rebirth little statues.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah, that's my issue, because I'm like, at least give me the new 52 Superman.
yeah, I mean
Which, more
that,
on that later. I will share something.
yes, that just that time, you can tell that, you know, even now, DC is really stuck on 90s, like trying to retread that era, and just stay stuck with this traditional, but it's not even tradition. Post crisis was, I was 25 years, or 30, but you know that era, it it might have had its generation, but it shouldn't be the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
And it it was an era that pretty much, yes, every era has its flaws, and it's
Absolutely.
not
Even the
perfect.
new 52 had
Too.
flaws. They didn't completely reboot.
But I would say that post crisis, the more people talk about it, the more, and what I read from it, I'm like, why are people so attached to this? The only reason why you're attached is because of your childhood, but it's not so much as the story itself.
No,
Because a lot of
and
the stories,
yeah, go ahead.
uh-huh, I was just gonna say that a lot of the stories have aged so poorly, like they're forgettable.
True. And I was about to say, there's a reason why the new 52 lasted 5 years.
Yeah, well, it it could have lasted
It could have
way
lasted
longer.
longer, but I'm saying compared to Rebirth, which lasted about a year and a half,
Not even
uh,
a year and a half.
not even a
It
year
was
and a
like
half.
6 months because remember,
Mhm.
2016. I think the full launch was what, March, May, June or July of 2016, and then 2017 is when he who shall not be named took over took over the Superman books. So yeah, that wasn't even a full year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but my point is there's a reason why this initiative lasted so long as it did because for the most part, up until DCU is pretty solid, and then DC sabotaged it with DCU, and then they were like,
Yeah.
we have to reboot now, even though we set up this BS scenario. Maybe not do DCU. Maybe that would have helped.
Nor
Strike it from
convergence.
canon.
Yeah, nor convergence because
Hmm.
obviously convergence is really what did the snowball effect of everything. And with you trying to bring back your post-crisis Superman, you know, you just messed up a lot. And with promoting him as the real Superman is back or whatever, and
Hmm.
honestly, the books are right back to post-crisis levels. And how many times has Superman solo book had to be relaunched? Three
And
times.
let's not forget,
With
wait. Real Superman, he didn't do anything when the anti-monitor showed up. Yeah. So you're telling me
got
real
rid of,
Superman's a coward. Is that what you're telling me?
yeah, and he let people drown.
Yes, I know I bring that up every week, but that's because that needs to
It
be
is what
emphasized as
happens.
much as we need to say that. I'm gonna do a video where it's gonna be why that book sucks, and that's gonna be the reason.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to continue to bash over the head, a bunch of lies about New 52 failing, let's tell the truth about Rebirth and Rebirth Superman.
Yeah, the dude was a cow. Even you told me that there was a tornado that was around Smallville and he just hung out with his family when he could have stopped the tornado easily.
Yeah, I think he said it was like it's better for him to be just down there with them in the basement, protecting them or whatever. Yeah, he really
You can
did
still
not care
protect
for them.
them by stopping the tornado.
And the thing is, what did Superman and Wonder Woman do in Power Couple? They went to go
Stop
stop
a
a
hurricane.
storm.
And they're like, hey, we could. They basically said we'd still be together, so it's kind of like a date.
Exactly. How can you criticize or hate this pairing when it the only thing that makes people hate this pairing is because of that they match so perfectly, and you can't really, you know, fault fault anyone for liking it. And the obviousness of it, it's like the double standard of trying to make it seem like a bad thing. It's especially when, like I said, with all of this merchandise, the key thing is that it matches, is that everything comes together, whether it is the colors or it is like the just the story that they're trying to tell. Everything has to match. You don't want to be tacky. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the opposite, you know. Um, they want to have this opposite attracts kind of thing, but in reality, that doesn't really work, you
It
know?
doesn't work at all. And I told Wes this when I first brought on Wes from Thinking Critical. The problem with it is that, yes, opposite attract, yes. Actually, no, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that, Brett. That can work. The problem is with the Wonder Bat thing, it doesn't work when the things that make them opposites are literally what they fight against. Like Batman's all about lies. Wonder Woman is pretty extreme when it comes to don't lie to me.
Yeah. And the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why the opposites doesn't work. Because yes, to a certain degree, yes, in some ways, Clark and Diana are kind of like opposites. Like he's less inclined to kill. She's a warrior. That works because he has shown that he is willing to cross that line in the most extreme circumstances. Wonder Woman doesn't lie. That's kind of her thing.
Yeah, Diana, she's basically an extrovert in a sense. Clark is an introvert, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, you can't really hold that against them, because eventually Clark will want to stand out, like when they went to the nightclub dancing or something like that.
I just love
So,
that scene where the owner's like, the woman's a goddess, and Superman basically goes, "You have no idea."
right. And even with the yeah, it's true that opposites, it can work, but most of the time it cannot. And like how we talked about with the Trinity in the Trinity episode, they really don't have a connection anywhere besides being having their relationship with Clark.
And besides headcanon.
That too, but what connects the Trinity really is Clark. Diana is like his work wife, eventually real wife, and Bruce is his brother, or sometimes his enemy, but basically brother. And that's what brings it together. It's not, they really don't have a connection. So they aren't, marketable
Despite what
together.
Greg Rucka will make you believe.
The thing is, with Rucka, he wanted to flip the Trinity, like basically switch Clark and Diana's roles within Bruce's life. So the light and dark thing is Bruce and Clark. The Bruce is like has this weird jealousy type thing, or envious or whatever. That's with Clark. With Rucka saying that he has this type of envy or jealousy with Diana, that does not translate to romantic love at all. That's kind of this very toxic.
I mean, you could
And
take that as Bruce saying, "I wish I could be close to someone as Clark is with Diana."
yeah, something like that. Um, and then you want to turn Diana into like this rebellious teenager that just wants
She
to,
wants the bad boy.
yeah, and the fact that he actually admitted, saying that Batman goes against what the Amazons like believe
Yeah.
in,
Mm-hmm.
and that you want Diana to rebel against the Amazons in that way. That's rebelling against herself.
Not
That
only
is going
that,
against.
when they say, "Oh, she could help Batman heal and everything like that," I'm like, do you really think DC is gonna allow their cash cow to change? Do you really think they're gonna screw with that formula?
I mean, even with Catwoman, what with that thing, with them wanting to get married in the wedding, and how um
Speaking of bait and switches,
exactly, that was, I mean,
they even had comic book stores set up like a wedding party for Batman and Catwoman.
the amount of bait and switch that Superman and Wonder Woman has had. I mean,
Far exceeds that, by the way.
yeah, the Batcat wedding, that one alone
It's
surpasses.
like it's like that meme of James Franco when they say when Batcat people are like the victims of a bait and switch. Super Wonder fans, first time.
Exactly. I mean, but that was totally cool. I mean, and the comic shops were so pissed. You, like you said, they had a wedding. Somebody, I think, somebody ordered a wedding cake, or like a cake or something, and having these parties. And then when the issue was revealed online, like they actually had the interview, it was like, what is going on? That is terrible marketing.
Speaking of
Terrible.
terrible marketing, you know what Marvel did? All right. Do you remember when they made Captain America a Hydra agent?
Yeah.
And you know what? That Hydra is supposed to be like modern day, like I'm trying to figure out how to say the word because YouTube has a reputation of dinging channels who say a German group. Let me put it to you this way. So if you catch my drift, a certain German group from World War II.
Yeah.
But so they wanted comic book stores to dress their stores up with like Hydra flags to make it seem like
Oh,
Hydra actually took over. And these stores are like, no one buys
mm,
that. That Hydra's different. What are you doing?
oh my God. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
wow.
That was great.
Some things you just very tone deaf with.
That's a horrible idea right there. That's not
You
even a good
know,
idea. That's not even poorly executed. That's a poorly thought idea.
oh gosh. You know, some things, the light bulb, is just not there with these companies. They, with all the people that it takes to run these companies, it's kind of like they're
Who
chickens
is
with
in
their heads
charge
cut
of
off or something.
it's like watching an actual episode of The Office. That's what it's like. That's what it seems
Yeah,
like from an outsider's perspective. But
yeah.
I'm sorry, go
It.
ahead.
I was just gonna say it's ridiculous.
It is. So then we have these dope Darwin Cook wallets, which I kind of want, but look at that.
Yes,
That's one of
that.
my favorite images. I think this was a variant cover of Superman and Wonder Woman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was for Superman and Wonder Woman 14,
I
and
love how
yes,
you know all this stuff. Like I could name a cover, and you're like, like series and issue number.
honest. I mean, I've done so much research. It is like in the back of my mind. I sometimes I may get the number wrong, but I'm right at the ballpark somewhere. And yes, this I'm definitely getting because this is I love this image. It is just so like to know the story of New Frontier and how they called each other, best friend, and how she
Spaceman.
said spaceman at first. The fact that she said there's a door, spaceman in an angry type sense, and then the next time she said it, she kissed him, and even
While
though
she's
I
covered
don't,
in blood.
right, and then you have just that sense of them being together, but again, not because, of course, somehow he is with Lois, whatever, but Diana is claiming him because she calls him my cow. So,
I
so
know.
it's
There's so much with New Frontier.
and even in the art book for New Frontier, I guess it's a bar and it's very tiny, but you can see Clark and Diana holding hands or whatever coming out the bar.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if they were just friends with benefits, whatever, but this image
I
to
just
basically,
I
huh,
just remember it's just every time I think of New Frontier, I get PTSD to how that movie changed.
yeah, well, that was
And
Bruce
Red
Timm's.
Sun, that's well, that explains it certainly.
Yeah, I mean, Red Sun, they didn't have to make Diana this typical because she's from an island of women, you
Yeah, that's
know.
why she's that way. That's why I was like, that's a little honestly insulting to gay people when you think about it.
That's very insulting, and it's kind of like, no, that's not how that works at all. And you can very much tell that, whoever wrote it just again the tone deafness of DC sometimes is just like wow. Um, but for that, you really do take away the emotional depth, you know, of things when there's something so blatant and so like an important piece. And because you're so, I don't know, against a certain dynamic, you take it out. You can very much feel that something is missing. But the movie came out before New 52, obviously. And when I first watched it, honestly, um, I wasn't into comics that much, you know, wasn't really into just, I was more into the anime side of things.
Oh, there
So,
you go.
DC wasn't on my radar too much. But when I did see this movie, I still shipped Superman and Wonder Woman. So yeah, the change didn't really um do anything.
It's just after reading the book when there's a thing, there's an entire page of her talking about how much she's in love with this man, and I'm like, ah. When you really
Yeah.
find out, by the way, the movie was written by J.M. DeMatteis, one of the writers of the DCAU. Surprising no one.
Oh, well, I mean,
You called it.
when you know, put when you narrow down the sources, it gives you your answers of why, okay, you know that Superman and Wonder Woman are supposed to be close or
Actually,
something
what's
like
kind of
that.
funny? I so the movie's directed by Sam Liu. I could have him on and ask him about that.
Oh,
He's a DM away, so
I mean,
that
might
would be
you know,
hilarious.
you know,
But I love when there's a chance I could get like a big DC writer on the channel. Britt knows who it is, but immediately when I told her that this person follows me on Instagram, she's like, "Ask him about this."
yeah, I mean, honestly, this is what a lot of times, some with interviews, when you have that chance, sometimes you have to go with that moment,
I
and you
mean,
have to
obviously
ask the
phrase it
question.
nicely though.
Yeah, be nice about it, but at the same time, you know, we want to know the truth and not sugarcoating it. I just in general, I don't like when things are sugarcoated. I just tell me the truth.
Hmm.
And I definitely want to know the truth just about the like what is the mindset when you change certain things, when you don't like it'll be different if Superman and Wonder Woman weren't the couple that other companies see and either want to market them
And if their book
or
it didn't like explode in sales.
exactly, or they don't have rip-offs of the couple,
Hmm.
you know.
Or it's like
It
with Marvel, they literally when they do the Squadron Supreme book, Hyperion's always with Power Princess.
exactly. If or when you see Astro City.
Yep. We did a whole episode of other Super Wonders, so there you go.
Exactly. So if this pairing was so bad or something, why is it that they have, so much going on? Even without DC's support, you still have the support outside, and that's really what matters because even if you aren't a comic book fan, you don't read it, you don't, you know, comics
Hmm.
are pricey. And
Nowadays, but
yeah,
particularly.
so of course there are going to be people, and we've talked about this too, that are going to pirate the comics,
Ah, yeah.
you know. And I mean, all power to you if that's what you have to do, especially for international fans. That's the thing, that there's exceptions to it. When it's international fans and they don't have access to even a comic shop or don't have, just it's unavailable,
And they
then
can't
yeah,
like get the digital services.
yeah, especially for DC's service, is certain areas that it's just not available. So yes, more power to you. Use those sites. And but like with Halloween, like with Valentine's, like with the wedding and all of that, you have these couples that, yeah, sometimes it is surface level knowledge of Superman and Wonder Woman as individual characters and as a pair, but for some reason it is natural for them to know the core too. that the descriptions of these items, you know, it's such a positive message of
Mhm.
every Superman needs his Wonder Woman. Every Wonder Woman needs her Superman. They're the perfect match. They're saving the world together. All of this. The fact that it's not, you know, ass pulled or anything like that. They had to have had some idea to where this came from. And the fact that DC owns these characters and yet they neglect them and they neglect this pair that can do so much for the company. I'm not saying that just this pair alone can fix the problems that they have, the financial problems, because I
Mhm.
mean DC
There's
needs
gonna be a
a
lot to fix that
yeah,
that issue.
yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that at all. Like DC put themselves in a big old rut. But it can start something though, because you have guaranteed a fan base that will actually support.
That has shown up exactly. That has a record of showing up and buying the books. That's the
Yeah.
and plus, by the way, again, I call this slide the Tony Daniel Cha-ching slide because look at this
I mean, that
in the
is
Gym League. But yeah,
you have you have t-shirts, hoodies, you have cell phone cases, masks, even little mirrors, you have cups, you know, all of this pillows, all of this different stuff
I need this stuff
that
in my office.
yeah, that's a whole office, bedroom. I wouldn't be surprised if they even have like or if at some point they'll have like silverware, like plates and stuff like that.
Or like
I would
the like or like a silverware set where like at the end where like you grab it, there's like the Superman logo and the Wonder Woman logo.
exactly, yeah. They have a belt that is a fashion belt or something, and
Mm-hmm.
the cell
Phone
phone
case.
cases, all of this different stuff that they have.
And then
And
we also have action figures. And by the way, yes, I did upload the video.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, where I love where what I like to say. I made up my own dialogue. So here's Superman. Here's Diana going, "Hey, Clark. Basically, this is Clark. This is Diana texting Clark and going, "Hey, Hessie is out for the weekend. Boosh, let's go."
Honestly, that reminds me of the telephone shirt image from earlier. It's kind of like a full circle with that.
Let me find that one. It was on this slide.
Yeah, the let's see.
Hang on. Oh yeah, it's this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's that one. It's that one. Yes, exactly. Good hashtag full circle moment.
Yeah. So that was a Target holiday commercial
Mm-hmm.
for toys. It was 2017. Well, the bad version of the Justice League.
The version that does not. Well, let me put it this way: the Wonder Woman's fine because she wore that in the actual cut of Justice League, and I'm like,
Yeah. So
just when you figure out the date that this was made, I'm like, no.
I
Okay, you
mean,
know what, Britt? Because you referenced that cut, I really have to do this.
Why did you say that name?
right, but I mean, it,
Breaking.
it
Hmm?
oh, okay. I mean, it was a bad time for a lot.
It was the dark times with the Empire.
And but again, to see the pair being paired and marketed when they didn't have any dialogue together, and like,
I
you
gave it
know,
dialogue. That's how epic it was.
make it work somehow. And to see again that regardless of what's happening within DC, with their incompetence of neglecting this pair, other companies will take advantage and they will market them, advertise them together. And also, I mean, in a toy commercial, you have her flying, but
Hmm. Or
within,
like jumping. They were really jumping.
yeah, they're both pretty much jumping, but I guess they're supposed to look like they're flying still. But it's the fact that both of them are flying together.
Yep.
That that was a missed opportunity within the DC
Well,
EU.
that was even the thing with Jim Lee when he was drawing the Justice League 12 cover. He's one of the questions they asked, because this was this great like a 10-minute video with Jim Lee on the DC YouTube channel. It's still up there, where the question was, did you want to draw them flying or non-flying? He goes, I think we should do flying because these two are superhuman and they can do stuff. We can do stuff with Superman and Wonder Woman that we can't do with Superman and Lois. And by the way, in that video, he reiterated that the point of the New 52 was to break up Lois and Clark. I was like, yes.
And I mean, if you know that that is a problem, why? Well, the DL did, you know, admit that going revert back to what made you reboot in the first place was a bad idea. I mean, yeah, you admitted that after you left the company, so it's a little too late for that. But if you know that this is a problem, then why keep forcing it then, even now? It just seemed like there's it has to be something more, or maybe it's not, and it is just simple laziness and being scared of an idea. But
Honestly, the latter seems like the most likely scenario.
yeah, but I mean, as a creative, you're supposed to be creative,
Well,
So
yeah, that's true.
yeah, so I mean, you have, and it's even with the multiverse and you know the Elseworlds, you have all of this at your disposal, and you don't use it. You know, like I said, many of DC's books, most known, are Elseworlds. Superman and Wonder Woman, even if they did have their on and off thing within the main books,
Are always
them,
together in Elseworlds.
yeah, and that is how the fan base grew and able to. I mean, what couple being in Elseworlds was able to move forward in canon and be a serious relationship for 5 years until the you know until that era ended prematurely and unnaturally, but still they were together for that long. That says a lot in itself. And honestly, that probably is why DC is so scared to put them back together or even have a hint of it, because a lot of, you know, antis want to downplay the fan base too. I remember when it was probably about a few weeks ago or whatever, but it seemed like, especially on Twitter, that in order for them to start like some type of entertaining conversation or whatever, the controversy, they have to bring up Superman and Wonder Woman as a couple and say how much they hate it or whatever. And this one person said that it's only like three fans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Three fans. So you're telling me three fans were rich enough to buy $100,000 worth of comics?
exactly, or why is it that these companies do want to keep um shelling out merchandise for this pairing. Or it's the fact that, even with DC, like I said, so hell bent on not having this pair, we've still had, crumbs here and there from, especially the biggest one was Wonder Woman 800. And
Because
I
that was the
mean,
most
that,
like explicit one.
yeah, I mean, the whole lovey-dovey, touchy and
Again, she
expressions.
has her head on his chest. Whenever a woman does that, as far as I know, and from what I've seen in movies and media, and whenever Diana does that, that's not a friend thing. No friend like cuddle. She practically had her leg on him.
Yeah. And even with just that whole thing of how the I will always, be there for you when you call and type stuff, or always be there for you, or Immortal Wonder Woman, when she said that he was like, when she closed her eyes, he was a clear vision,
Mm-hmm.
and how because of his love for um their world, she loved him. So yeah, it those kind of things, as it's crumbs, it is very kind of dangling a carrot. Sometimes it's insulting because it's like, that this pair can get people talking. You can that it's a fan base that will support you, but you want to use it to end up with the bait and switch, and just like how Superman lost, when why is Wonder Woman on the cover with the lasso and everything, but it's actually, in the context of the book, it's Lois with the lasso, or she's, first of all, she's being really rude to Diana,
Big
and
surprise.
like, you go to her for her because you can't help your own husband or whatever. You go to her, of course, for her to give you the lasso,
Of
but you,
course.
Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
even though it's the writer's projection too,
Mm-hmm.
but to say that, but to have Lois say that she doesn't like Diana, like,
Mm-hmm.
outright say it, and then at the end though, you're using her lasso and the same type of imagery on the cover with Diana, you change it to be Lois. Yeah, just that back and forth thing, or even with, like I said, the bait and switch that we've covered, is that Clark and Diana has had dreams together, or Clark really, trying to suppress his feelings for her, and then they say that, then the whole 180 of him supposedly so in love with Lois, even like they did with the animated universe. Um, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really make sense. It'll be different if DC was in a better place, if they weren't in the rut, in you know, the amount of debt, and that the books were selling, then we wouldn't have to bring this up,
When
you
you think
know.
about it, if DC was in a better place, we wouldn't have this leverage because we actually have leverage. We're like, our stuff sold, your stuff doesn't.
Exactly. But, well, because it is like that,
It kind of is. But my point is, we would have a little less of that. But by the way, so real quick, now that you've seen merch that exists, I want to show you guys how I got creative recently. So I took my action figures, and first off, I took my Hot Toys and made this little diorama here. It's based off the first image in the Charles Sewell book when they're holding hands and they're flying toward the tornado. And he goes, "Are you ready?" She goes, "I am."
that is so cute. Oh my gosh.
Plus, I managed to like arrange it so like it looks like they're staring at each other as well.
That is cute. The thing with when Instagram wasn't as complicated as it is now, how the hashtags are,
Mm-hmm.
um within during DCEU, a lot of people were anticipating when Superman and Wonder Woman will interact together.
The
And
problem is it got cut off at the knees before that could happen. That's the issue.
right. And so people, fans, of course, took it into their own hands. And I mean, the massive amount of toy photography. It, I mean,
Hell, I made
wow.
edits on that.
Yes, it is like you can honestly make a full movie trilogy or whatever of the amount of pictures. And the fact that they also like some photographers, they would reenact scenes or they would create their own little motion, with the toys of what could have been. So yeah, the fans are very creative with this kind of stuff, and it very much is. And even with toys, you see how well they go together.
I mean,
You
look at
know,
this one. So what I did is I got the new. So recently, like last year for Christmas, I got the set of new 52 DC Direct action figures. I wanted those ones specifically, not the Rebirth ones, because first off, these are better made and Rebirth. So what I decided was, and I had new 52 Superman and Wonder Woman. I kind of had to make this right here.
yeah. I mean, they look good. The toys now are very cheaply made. I mean, they have an overall slash of, of of budget
Mm-hmm.
overall. But, the thing is with New 52, and I think that is why so many people are envious of that era and hate it or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because the artwork and the toys and everything, those, I mean, it was like done with so much care in it
Yeah.
and like the finest type material that it looks so real sometimes, now you can really tell with the toys that they like the paint is cheap, the faces are kind of disfigured, it's just
Particularly, the problem I noticed is that I have the entire set of the McFarlane ZSJL figures. They're cool. They're great. They look like the characters. Then I get like Batman from the Flash. It looks nothing like Ben Affleck, and I'll get to compare to show you guys. So, all right. So I have here Batfleck from ZSJL. So he's in his tactical suit. He looks like Ben Affleck, right?
right.
So look at the Flash one. First off, it's not even the right color that it was in the movie, but still.
Yeah, you can tell, like I said, the budget was slashed and just the investment even with the company is not there.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of funny. The toys of the Flash don't look about as realistic as the CGI in the movie. I still enjoyed the Flash. That's just me, but I like to make those jokes. I like to make those jokes.
I mean, it's all in fun, but it needs to be criticized. I mean,
Yeah,
that was kind of
interesting.
ridiculous,
Yeah, it
you
was
know.
very interesting. But all in all, I know what I need to buy for the next 5 years. So there is that.
Yeah, I mean, unless you like save up, you might as well go ahead and, start donating
Well,
body
I
parts.
I know when I'm mortgaging my house again.
Yeah, is
So what are your reasons for mortgaging? Superman and Wonder Woman merch.
yeah. And I mean, just overall to know that once they were able to, and like how we, covered the DC with the documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and to know that this company has been boneheaded pretty much since the
And
beginning.
oftentimes in that DC documentary, they admitted they were boneheaded.
I mean, that self-awareness is like, okay, you know that you are like this, but don't change for
But you
the
don't do
better.
anything to change. Exactly. I'm like, what? At least change. At least make the effort to change.
Right. And you're just skating by with the merchandise, with pretty much the uh nowadays just Batman franchise.
Hmm.
And you know, with Superman and Wonder Woman as individual characters now, they are iconic, but in a very surface level type of way. When DCEU, I think that people were curious, um, and you did see a shift, especially with Wonder Woman, to take her character seriously, and even with New 52.
Well, here's the thing on that. Particularly with Wonder Woman, it wasn't just like the comics, because remember, this was coming out around the time period as the movie.
Yeah, that's
And
what
the
I'm saying is that,
movie did so much to make Wonder Woman more mainstream.
yeah, yeah, that's what pretty much I'm saying is that
Hmm.
it was really her first movie, of
First
course, the
movie,
only
only the
movie.
first movie. I'm only talking about the first movie.
Yeah, that movie really gave Wonder Woman a boost that she needed. And with going back, but again, still going back to comics, even you did see at that time though, like it's really the total opposite. It's like DCEU and comics, they tried to synergize a little bit with Rebirth, but the Rebirth books weren't like of interest to the general audience. Funny how that goes, that people ended up gravitating towards reading more New 52 and other like in Perez, you know. Um with Superman, it definitely just was on autopilot or whatever, or
Hmm.
just stayed
Well,
average.
actually, it was Crash into Mountain Pilot. That's really what it was. Because here's the thing with the
Well,
Perez,
yeah.
because the Perez one is like on the Perez side, they were like, okay, Wonder Woman and Superman, that actually makes sense. And on the Superman side, no.
Yeah. So you have, and again with the disconnect and the bait and switch, that is pretty much what really, it's like a, I don't know, it's not even handicapping. It's just you basically hitting the
Self
kneecaps.
handicapping. It's self
You
handy.
know,
It's essentially what they're doing. They have a shotgun and they keep shooting themselves in the foot.
right. And it's so easy again to market this couple. It's so easy to, even if you do want to do the on and off thing, which honestly that will be more
Or
attention,
just make it Elseworlds. That's all you have to do.
but that requires
Work.
a yeah.
But yeah, the on again, off again also could be kind of fun. And you can make it. They keep trying this because they desperately want to be together. You can make that a compelling story.
Yeah, or even if you, whether you want them to be on and off, or you want them to be friends with bits, or you want them to be best friends with a slow burn type build of a relationship, which I
Like a certain project that Britt and I are collabing on. More on that at a
exactly.
future date.
um yeah, you can do this story so many different ways, and it will coincide with how you market them outside of comics. Like, I mean, Jean Paul had a motion comic just about fragrances, you
Yeah, I
know.
know. And here's the thing. Here's my problem with this. It's not my problem with this. It's my problem with a lot of fans. They're short-sighted because here's what you're doing. These characters are becoming more mainstream. So someone that buys fragrances, let's say in this example, that doesn't pick up comics will be like, oh, I like that. There's a comic book company called DC. Maybe I'll check that out. And then it brings people into it. That's why I tell people when it comes to like Snyderverse, New 52, don't bash what brings other people to comics because that expands the fan base. That's why my theory, it's my tin hat theory, Britt. I know I have a lot of those, but this is my chief one, where they want comics to remain a niche market because it makes them feel like they're in a special club.
Oh no, that's not even tinfoil. That's straight up facts.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
No, that is straight up facts because I mean, it's the fact that, like we said, traditional status quo. If you go outside that, you aren't a fan. They've already, let that be known. So no, definitely, that is not a tinfoil.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've dealt with that. Even to the point of you being questioned of have you even read comics, and then once you posted a picture of your library, it's like they have nothing to say, or
I've read
they
many. Yes, as a matter of fact, whenever someone accused me in Twitter of not reading comics, I'll send them a picture of my thing. Okay, I'll send them a picture of my thumbnail of my shelf, and I'll go try again.
yeah, and then they want to resort to really just personally attacking something like that, because they felt outdone. Um, or they try to gaslight or just be like reverse psychology, or play victim or something like that, and still they want to force the idea that you aren't a real fan and that you're not welcome, especially the Superman fandom. I mean, well, the Superman and Wonder Woman fandoms individually, they,
Superman more so, I think.
yeah, Superman more so, because I mean, it's so many different aspects of that. It's the red underwear,
Mm-hmm.
if
The
you
S
if
curl, the suit. It's
well,
so.
the S curl is now not so much a thing.
Thank you, Henry
It's
Cavill.
Yeah, it's more so just the red underwear. So if
And the
you
constant smiling.
Yeah. So if you don't like the red underwear, you're not a fan. I mean, I really don't. I mean,
I have 10 years of movies that show me why it looks so much better. So you know what? And about, let's see, 2012 to 2019. So that's about 7 years of why it looks better without the underwear. So stop it. I had a friend of mine. He's the artist for my comic currently, and he had to leave so many Superman groups because if you even say you like Zack Snyder in those groups, they will crucify you.
exactly. Yeah. If you like anything that's non-traditional, but even the traditional thing, it's kind of like your tradition is just from 1986,
Well, yeah,
post-crisis.
and that gets to my thing. And I was on a stream like last night talking about Man of Steel, and a lot of the antis. I got news for you. They are jealous of this. They're jealous of the new 52 success. They're jealous Superman and Wonder Woman got better sales than Clois ever did, or Wonder Bat, even though there were no Wonder Bat sales because there's never been a book. But and with the Snyderverse, they are jealous that Snyder got to make Superman relevant again. He got to assemble the Justice League for the first time. It all goes on jealousy.
Yeah, because even the attempts, or like just again, they are so warped into their own mindset that, just because something has been for so long, it doesn't make it good though,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's one of the things my dad told me. My dad's like, "Well, it's always been this way." I'm like, "Yeah, and it hasn't worked for DC that much."
Yeah, because if so, if this status quo worked, Superman wouldn't be struggling to get a movie franchise, off the
Yeah,
ground. And for the only successful movie, well, that the group claims, is from 40 years ago. Um,
Which it was successful for the time period.
right, that's what I'm saying, is that it was just for that time.
Which
But
that's fine. Superman has to be. Even Christopher Reeve himself said he's down for other people giving their takes on the character because this character grows. This character is not the
exactly.
same character. This character is very much. If you want to talk about comics, post-crisis Superman is 100% not the Christopher Reeve Superman. I can tell he's more the Zack Snyder Superman when you think about it.
Yeah, but honestly, but Snyder's, I mean, he was,
He's more.
well, it was because of
He's. See, here's the
Cavill.
thing. Yes, Cavill was more as like a blend of New 52 and post Crisis. But I'm just saying, when they give me post Crisis as their favorite era of comics, I'm like, did you read that?
I mean, even Jargons, he pretty much, like, here's the thing about, they're all two-faced, it seems. So say if um if Jargons didn't get clout or credit for the Doomsday in BVS or whatever, I guarantee you he probably would have bashed, you know, the Snyderverse. But because he got that kind of credit, and it especially with the black suit and everything like that, he praised it. So, and
He
Jargons is pretty
even
much the,
Bruce Timm even praised them for killing Zod in Man of Steel.
yeah. So if Jargon basically like praised it or whatever, and he, well, even for because of his clout reasons, but the fact that he accepted it, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
he represented the post-crisis 90s type feel, and that is what post-crisis fans are stuck on. You know, you're being hypocritical or contradictory because the main writer of the era that you love the Snyderverse, so you should love it too, or something like that, you know.
Even it gets worse for these people. The creatives of Superman and Lois have said, "Oh yeah, we love Man of Steel so much. That was one of our main inspirations for the show."
But
Really?
yet but yet they keep comparing it, saying that Tyler is better, you know, and stuff like that. I mean,
He's a more hopeful Superman. Wait a second. He's a
I
hopeful
mean,
Superman. Don't get me wrong, but you're discounting pretty much all of Man of Steel, BVS, and ZSJL.
honestly, I didn't watch that show. Saw clips here and there or whatever, but I mean, Tyler, he smiles, I guess. You
So does
know,
Henry Cavill,
he's
though. That's the thing. People that say Henry Cavill doesn't smile clearly didn't watch Man of Steel.
right. Um, Tyler, I guess what they want is, and we've covered this too, that they forget about the alien part, the the cow.
Because remember, they're of the opinion that Clark is who I am. Superman is what I do.
Yeah. And honestly, that is such a watered down, just stripping the character of complexity, you know, to his core. And it's such a xenophobic, borderline racist type, you know, mindset that you are supposed to be a fan of this character, but you're a fan just of a version of the character,
And
not
that's fine. You can be a fan of you can say I love a particular I love this version of the character, and that's your right as a fan, but don't discount other people's preferences.
exactly. Don't try to make it seem like your version is the end all be all, you know. That,
Because it's not. Because if your version were the end all be all, they wouldn't reboot Superman as many times as they do.
yeah. And even now with trying to, they are really trying to have the marriage work, but it's not really, you know, they're trying to give Lois a role, And even John, I mean, his character is a lost cause.
Yeah. More on that in a future episode of the show.
Trying to have this super family and everybody just seems so redundant instead of unique. Especially with those stupid jackets. I mean, it's like you're trying to militarize them
But again,
and
here's why that doesn't work. Why are people still trying to commit crimes in a city that's protected by 5 Kryptonians? That makes zero sense at this point.
exactly.
These are
Exactly.
5 gods, and people are like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go to Gotham where it's just a dude."
Right. I'm trying to make it work. You know, they're trying to basically capitalize on the Bat family.
They're trying
That
to give everyone and the Flash family, and we've said this on a member stream. I hate how there's so many families now. It arguably works for Batman because that's actually integral to his
Mhm,
character, not opening up to people. Superman opens up to everyone.
right. So honestly, the super family was only Kara and Connor at first. And that made sense because even if it was just them two, they still had their own separate stories and did their own thing, whatever. So it wasn't, it didn't seem so like overstuffed, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
With the Wonder family, there's no Wonder family. They're not,
Mm-mm.
they don't communicate. Diana doesn't communicate with them at all, which is weird because, you know,
She
with
shows up
the,
kind of sometimes in post crisis when she was like Agent Diana Prince. She communicated with Donna, but it's like remember Yara Floor and everyone was so excited, but then she literally never communicated with Wonder Woman.
yeah, Yara, well, they pretty much fumbled her, you know, from the controversy of being basically like a stereotype and in
Being
a very,
sexy. I
no,
love how
it
even
was,
Joelle Jones said that.
no, it was,
Mm-hmm.
she, her introduction, she's Brazilian.
Mm-hmm.
So the way she was written was very offensive
I
in a
see.
in a stereo typical manner, and it was like, why don't you get a Brazilian writer? And especially with trying to, um, I think it was the Future State uh book with John, the reject Superman and Wonder Woman book with John, and I think the writer was trying to incorporate um Yara, I think speaking Portuguese. I think it was something like that to where it was just very wrong. And yeah, so it was kind of like they didn't communicate with any Brazilian creatives. And that's what pretty much made her character fall.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she hasn't been a Wonder Girl, and she doesn't even want to be called a Wonder Girl. Like that was the whole controversy too, was that why would you introduce her as that and she doesn't even want to be that? That is weird.
It would be
And
one
then
thing if, like, throughout her journey, she learns to want to be a one of the Wonder Girls, but no, she never does that.
yes, is and now she's just in the background and then to kill off Hippolyta just so Nubia can become
That
queen.
was utter BS. That is the stupidest thing in the world. I can't
And
believe they did
honestly,
that.
right, and honestly, I don't understand like uh okay, Nubia just didn't have the development, you know, yet to become queen. I can and especially with the fact that that's Diana's role too, you know, after Hippolyta is to
Yeah.
be Diana.
By the way, did you read that Nubia and the Justice League book?
I did not.
Oh my god. They have Black Canary go like this and go, "Yes, Queen." to
Oh,
Nubia. It's basically the Nubia worship fest. They're like, "You're so great, yes, queen." I'm like, "What the hell am I reading?"
I mean, that's the thing is that whether it's so it's just all around, whether it's within the comics or with animation, it's like you have to just go with it, turn half your brain off because
Yeah.
DC
Mhm.
because it's like stuff done off screen and off panel, or it's just, you know, just done out of the blue. And also DC is very much the hey kids, I'm trying to be cool type meme because
Fellow kids.
they're yeah, the fellow kids because they're trying to use, the new generation type language,
Hmm.
and it comes off so try hard or cringe because they don't know how to use it right and
Hmm.
natural to the character. So yeah, it just comes off so like headcanon fan fiction type thing. Eh, It's already the fact that for years, basically everything beyond the first creation of these characters is technically fan fiction because the writers are fans and they're, da da da. But
Except it's a little more official because they're working for the company.
right, but it's still the fact that even the company themselves nowadays, it is actually fan fiction in the worst kind of way. And it,
Yeah, because so Britt, let me ask you this. When you write your stories, you keep these characters, and this is one of the reasons why I became such an avid reader of your stuff. Well done, by the way, is that
thank you.
you keep these characters from if I didn't know, in other words, I could go from comic book to your stuff because your stuff is consistent with how the characters are actually written. The problem with a lot of these writers is that they come in and write these characters totally out of character.
It's because they want them to be what they see in their heads and what it's kind of like what they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about being a writer is that you have to go outside the box and you have to put yourself, if it's already an established character, you basically have to put yourself in that in, mindset. And that's what I try to do. When I read the comics, I try to put myself in that character to be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you want to push the boundary just a little bit. I do put some of my words in, the, some of mm, um the way I talk, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but it still flows with the character.
Yeah, and it
And
has to. And yeah, it's pushing the boundaries is what even these comic book writers do because you do have to a little bit do that because otherwise you're just retreading the exact same territory with these characters.
yeah, but the thing is with their type of pushing the boundaries, it's mostly like character borderline character assassination, or it's just like very much unrecognizable that no, definitely not. This character might do something, but not like that. And that's the thing, especially when they're trying to get attention, social media attention or Twitter attention, and even with DC as a company, they the fellow kids meme is you see them on Instagram and they are posting like their captions are trying to keep up with the trends. Marvel does it and it's so natural fitting because just like in the
Whoa,
documentary,
whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm going to disagree with you on that because a lot. Because here's the problem with Marvel: they get too much in the situation of snowflake and safe space. And I'll show you a few more things off as soon as we're done with this because they did something recently that was so like that's why I say it may look like Marvel's trying to like retain, trying to like maintain relevancy in that way, but with the way they do certain things, they always screw it up at the end.
That's true. I'm not saying that Marvel is just perfect, but still, even with the things though, they do naturally fit with it, and although it might it might not work, but for some reason, even with Marvel stumbling on certain things, they still end up ahead though. And
True.
that's the thing with what was said in the documentary was that Marvel, like, y- you read Marvel,
Mhm.
so you know that, okay, this is something that's basically not going to work. And, but to me, as not so much an avid Marvel fan or Marvel reader, even though I do see the controversy, and, it's still the fact that I still see, though, that Marvel somehow,
Well,
like, stays on top, though.
it's because, well,
While,
first off, it's not necessarily because of the books, because Marvel publishes so many books. They do the flood the market thing. So
yeah,
it's
they
not
do.
necessarily quantity, it's quality, it's quantity. But here's the thing about Marvel maintaining their, like, addressing all these issues in their books, because that was part of their identity. They were the world outside your window publisher. That's the men amongst gods, while DC are the gods amongst men.
I see that. And that's the thing is that DC is trying to reverse that
They're trying to turn to
and go,
Marvel, in other words, which that
yeah,
didn't work for the
and it's
movies. That certainly didn't work.
right. And that's what I'm saying is that Marvel has their problems, but because it's pretty much accepted because of how that company is supposed to be ran.
Mhm.
So it works for them still. They somehow, it doesn't work, but it does work in a very twisted way. Now,
Mhm.
with DC trying to do the same thing, they just totally fumble and just, it's basically an embarrassment. And that's what I'm trying to
All
say
set.
is
Okay, that
that,
works.
yeah, is basically like with trying to be like Marvel in even in their worst ways, DC still becomes an embarrassment. Like when with the covers, the sweater weather
Oh
covers
God.
that look like um AI, and I believe that they are because it just seems so wonky, but it just it's so awkward looking.
It is.
And
It looks like the cover of a crappy romance novel, and Superman and Wonder Woman are the only ones that made that work.
the thing is, I've seen, and have indulged in it too, of course, the AI images, and it is some that look just amazing. I mean, just flawless. And it looks so natural with Superman and Wonder Woman. But that image, if that is AI, it just looks so, I don't know, like it looks disproportioned or something. It looks soulless, and it's definitely DC trying
True
and
that.
failing.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that's the thing. When DC does that, they have been doing, because here's the thing. At least you can give them an E for effort. At least they're trying something. Because it would be one thing if they weren't at least trying. So you can see the efforts there. It's just a lot of the times it does fall flat like that.
yeah, and I mean, they're trying with the bare minimum. You're
Mhm.
trying with something that obviously doesn't work though. You're trying to
Yeah.
still push something that obviously is outdated, and
Hmm.
that, but like I said, with Superman and Wonder Woman, you can just have a single page or just a panel, and it will have people talking. It
Yeah,
the
and it's done that. And you want, if you're in the if you're in the media like industry, you want people to be able to talk about your content for years and years and years. Hell, we still talk about the new 52 and the
52.
Snyderverse.
Because it's basically like with these concepts, you had so much of what if and what should have, and the ideas that it brought about though. To know New 52 with Superman and Wonder Woman and the plot threads that Charles Soule he still had that that wasn't able to be explored. So now it's us as fans, we take those plot threads and we try to fill in the gaps with,
Mm-hmm.
with that. Or with how it ended as premature and just such a disgrace. We want to rewrite it, to give it a better ending or not end it at
Exactly.
all.
Yeah, exactly. Or what Jay Heat and I do, show that you could have had both. And that's my problem with the way they went to Rebirth. Because they could have kept both and had like maybe new 52 Clark being taught by post-crisis Clark how to be a better Superman. You could have had that. You could have had the wedding to Wonder Woman and had the Lois thing. You could have had both, but you chose to tell one side of the fandom, screw you, one that showed up because of this new universe, and you're like, we're just going to go back to your point and to Didio's point to what made us want to reboot in the first place. It's moronic, and what's kind of funny when you bring up them trying and failing to keep trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Isn't that the very definition of insanity?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then you have you also have the Snyderverse where even though he redid the storyboards, but just the story that you already know.
Yeah.
As a fandom, still you want to fill in those gaps, or that the whole story that he wanted to tell. You think about it and you envision it for yourself.
Hell, my buddy Nicotina, he and like a bunch of people in the community made an entire motion comic of the JL 2 and 3 storyboards.
Yeah. That type of creativity that comes from fans, that's what keeps the characters from not being lost, because the companies aren't doing a good job at that. If it was truly up to the companies, these characters, they would be forgotten. And that has happened,
A lot of
um
it.
and and it seemed like DC is getting smaller. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
they might
Well,
be
they keep losing their big time creatives, so.
well, that's true. That's true. It that's true. Um, but even the world, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what confused me is when, you know, some fans, well, especially the antis, they want them to keep them separated because they're saying how if you put Superman and Wonder Woman together, you're limiting, them. I just can't wrap my head around how is that limiting them when you can put their worlds together to make something totally new.
I
But
mean,
when you
hell,
put
Volume 1 of the Charles Soule book was that.
exactly, but when you keep them separate and you only have but their own worlds to kind of play with, but world is that world is limited because
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
you're not really doing anything new per se with Superman or Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, I'll say with King, you're
At least he's doing some new stuff, and you know what? A lot of this, a good portion of the stuff, I'm actually enjoying because I like this idea of Wonder Woman being hunted by the government and the whole Amazons thing. I'm like, that's a cool story that we haven't seen before. My
I
problem is
mean
when he puts.
the Amazon
Yeah.
attack thing it isn't new per
Can we
se.
not canonize Amazon's attack, please? But my problem is when he puts in other BS like that soldier being tricked by the lasso of lies to off himself. I'm like, well, that's a little far, Tom.
Yeah, but Tom likes for characters to unalive themselves, though.
I have
He likes
noticed
that.
that. I have noticed
Yeah.
that.
I mean, he is putting his own PTSD and stuff within, but it's some characters in comics that you just like that isn't necessary.
Yeah.
You, you know, especially if that isn't even gonna come up anymore. You just have a character unalive himself just for shock value. Um, and and that doesn't. I mean, when he did that, it didn't shock anybody because they already knew that Tom King would do something like that. But that is pretty much what just for now is shock value.
Hmm. And you know, it was kind of funny is that the shock didn't last that long. If anything, it went away really fast.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What you say?
Oh, okay. What I was saying, if you notice, if it was done for shock value, it didn't exactly last that long.
It didn't. I mean, because it wasn't a character that people. I mean, you just introduced him in what 2 pages, and then you have him do that. There's no investment, so nobody really cared for him. It was just a random OC, and
It'd
that's
be
the
one
thing.
thing if Wonder Woman tried like that. It'd be one thing if you give us a character that people care about, and then that almost happens. But no.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't even know him. Like, e- even if it was like an old buddy or something of, I mean, at least some type of connection, would have been something. But no, his even with Emily, I mean, the way the Amazons trained, I guess it works, but still the motivation that she has to hate Diana is just it seems so forced. Like it's not Tom King isn't doing a story to fit Diana. He's doing a story to fit himself and using Diana for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is the problem with overall DC. I mean, Tom Taylor, he does the same thing.
Yeah.
Most of his stuff is for Twitter. He wants that panel page to be shared all over Twitter.
He wants those check
Um,
marks.
yeah, even Philip Johnson Kennedy with Action Comics, he did the
Oh
same
god.
thing. He started out good with the promise of with War World and you know basically bringing back the champion of the oppressed and freeing the slaves and everything like that. But then you had to ruin it, of course, with trying to appease Lois fans, and it's like no, don't
Well,
do
that's
that.
what DC always does. They give you the promise of something and then they fail to deliver on it. But we can
Exactly.
talk about that more on the next show. I think this is a good place to leave it. We talked about a lot of merch, like
Yes.
too much for my credit card to purchase, but there's always next time. But so Britt, do you have any stories you want to tease?
Well, I do have all the Tonight one shots that I'm finishing up, and there's one that I'm finishing that, of course, you will have an exclusive to,
Yes, because I am the
and
access media.
and then I do have Clark and Diana going to the pregnancy classes
Hmm.
as a um, flashback or whatever for Austria, and then Austria's stories of her going adventuring, you know, um, by herself in other dimensions and building her little dimensional, exotic zoo.
Hmm.
And then I have Athens, the Athens story, and Aries that I'm slowly getting a paragraph, for each done. And then I have my emotional roller coaster with you.
I got an idea for something as we were recording, so I've been waiting for this episode to wrap up so I could tell you.
Oh my
But
God. See, this is the problem. My emotions, I go from happy to bawling my eyes out. And I'm anticipating what you're gonna say because it's gonna be like, okay, do I get the tissues now or, you know, what do I do?
okay, so how mentally traumatized do you want to be? I'm only kidding. Only kidding. But so we'll talk about that later. And guys, you're a fantastic audience. Stay heroic, and we will see you in the next one.